All right, hey, it's Paul from paulsalo.com, paulsalo.com. Thank you very much for watching. Today we're going to talk about Elon Musk and the art of war, and about the rollout of the Model 3, which came out this week. Right? It was less than 1 week ago on March 31st when the Model 3 came out. And he really blew a lot of minds. And I mean, the Mercedes stockholder event was last night. And there was people screaming, like, why don't we have a competitor? We have no competitors. Our competitors are all virtual. Seriously, that's like one of the greatest car companies historically in the world. And the shareholders overnight, think about this. A month ago, they were fine. Now they're saying, you know, we don't have anything except virtual. It's gonna be 3 years before we can even start to compete with what Tesla's got today. Right? People are not happy. Or actually, it's being delivered next year. But people are not happy, and the reason why is because they can see what's going on. And I think the auto executives, this is a strange situation where I think the audio executives are behind the times, and that's partly why I started making these blog posts and these videos, right? So let's look at some of the things that Elon Musk did right. The first one I want to talk about is the Trojan Horse. Right? So we won't get into the specifics. This is not a military channel or anything, but just basically, you know, is that there was a horse, okay, and it looked like a big old, like, you know, statue, but inside, those sneaky boys had some warriors inside. So they rolled the old Trojan horse into the city, and he through the gates, closed the gates, and then evening comes around, the horse's backside opens up, and a bunch of people came out and started shooting everybody, right? Or back then it wasn't shooting, but either way they started attacking, right? And they won because they had the element of surprise, right? So the Model 3 really is a Trojan horse, and we've seen already the element of surprise. So I think what people are thinking right now is, oh yeah, we saw the element of surprise, right? You know, I understand, right? The Model 3 is an awesome car, right? No, people don't get it. The Model 3, the Trojan part of it, okay, the secret part hasn't come out yet. It's not there yet. You haven't seen it yet, okay? What is this? What is hiding inside the Model 3? If I take a Model 3 apart, what's inside of the Model 3? That's just a car, right? Electric car. The problem is not just that. What's in there, it's even, actually when I think about it, it's even better than a Trojan horse, because the Trojan horse, you had to have people inside the horse, right? The Model 3's got people inside, but they're not even there. Okay, what I mean is, what's inside the Trojan horse on this one is software, okay? What's inside the Model 3 is software, and software that updates anytime they want to update it, okay? Now, you've seen the power of software, okay? Think about what software has done. Right now, Apple is trying to replace the laptop with an iPad, okay? They want to replace it. And how they're going to do that is with software, okay? You're going to have the same abilities to do things, okay? This is not an Apple advertisement. I'm just telling you software is important, okay? It can turn a boring tablet into something that you can really work on. I'm not saying you can do it yet. I'm just saying software does that. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing our era, okay, for people that don't understand, is an era of software. And that is what is transforming the world in front of us. Data and software is what's changing everything in our lives. In the old days, it was physical things. It had to be a physical, you know what I mean? So for example, inside the Model 3, right, Elon Musk promised that 2 years later, from 2 years from now, we're going to have self-driving cars. So you can have a car that's in New York, and you can order it, and it can come and pick you up in LA, okay? 2 years from now. He said that recently. Guess what's happening 2 years from now? The Model 3 is being released to the public, okay? People have purchased it now. It's going to be released late 2017. So there's two possibilities, right? Either he's talking about a new model, or he's talking about another aspect of the Model 3. And that's, I think, exactly what he's talking about. He's talking about the Model 3, what it does today, and even what it does when it's released, is not the car. the Trojan, the secret, terrible, decimating part of it is not there, and they can put it in anytime they think of it. Okay, so you can add self-driving function to a car these days that's not even available. So people's minds are basically being blown, because people basically, when you buy a car, you knew what you were getting. Okay, you would look at the, you go to the dealership and you ask him, what does this have? And he would say, well, do you want this? Do you want that? Do you want a sunroof? And you'd say yes or no, and you would pick, and you would get the exact car. And then from then on, that car is only going to go downhill, right? It's only getting worse, older and more messed up. You could, if you wanted to, you could do things like put a sunroof in, but any of these things that you did to your car, truly, if you ask any engineer, it really like lowered the performance of the car. So, you had basically, you got what you paid for, and that was it. If you wanted it something else, you had to wait. The Model 3 ain't like that. The Model 3 is a lot more like the Samsung Galaxy or the Samsung Note or the Apple iPhone, because they can update it later. Okay, they can add services, add things to it to make it do things that it didn't do later. So they can add Siri, for example, to the MacBook later. It could be an update, right? You got your same MacBook, but all of a sudden you can use Siri on it, right? And you can use this and you can use that. You can update it, right? The Model 3, again, now I'm getting way out there, so I don't know if you're gonna go with me, but it could be the last car ever made. Okay. right, no, okay. Other people are gonna try, okay, but what I mean by that is, if you look at, say, a few years ago, okay, what cell phone did you have? Okay, I had, a few years ago, what did I have? I had some kind of Nokia. I can't remember what it was. It was some model Nokia. And then I had another model Nokia. And then I had a series of Japanese phones. I had, they were all basically the same. They're just very simpler. They were just basically, those flip phones, those clamshell things. But they didn't really do anything besides that, right? They were just like basically, they were simple, right? Some of them had color, some of them had black and white, but it wasn't too, that was it, right? But the thing is, everybody had these different models, and even though they were almost the same, they were sold as being different, right? Because they're like, oh, this is XYZ model, and my wife has the blah 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 model. But the way it works now is it ain't like that. The computer that you have is defined by the software that you install on it. Okay, so the software that you install is what makes it good or bad or different. So for example, when I had my hard drive in my MacBook went out, okay? And again, I'm not an Apple fan. I have had many computers. I like Google Chrome, I like a lot of different things. But for this MacBook, right, my hard drive crashed. And so I lost all my data on my hard drive. And I lost everything on it. And it was really hard to get my computer back to where it was before. Because before, your computer wasn't that much software, but now it's all software. It's all the settings that you have. It's everything, the software you have installed. It's the way the whole thing, you have it all set up, makes it individual for you. So you don't feel like, oh, my MacBook is not mine because it looks the same as everybody else's. You feel like, hey, this is my MacBook. Don't mess with my MacBook, right? This is mine. If you lose it, it's a pain in the butt to get it back running again. So consumers have switched from the way it looks and also what I'm gonna call fake differences, okay, where you had all these Nokias that were exactly the same, right? Consumers eventually figured it out, right? And you had this kind of like fake differences, and you had these fake choices, I guess. It was basically not that much of a difference. It was like, hey, I got the 95-45, and you got the 32-10, and he's got the. But in the end, those things were all decimated by the smartphone. And the smartphone was defined by software. It was defined by iOS and Android software. Okay, that is what makes a phone today. And that's why Japan did so poorly since the internet came out, is Japan has not understood that it's all about software. It's not about hardware. There is some hardware that matters, like, robots and things, but more and more, for more and more things, it's about data, it's about artificial intelligence, which is software, and it's about software for everything that you buy. So the Model 3, nobody knows what this thing's gonna do in the future. And this is what scares the living daylights out of any intelligent car executive is, what is it going to do? Like, Elon Musk is like a nut, okay? One minute he gives you this car, like the Model S, okay? And then he puts ludicrous mode on it, right? And then he gives you another, the X, right? So you think, I was thinking, right? I think a lot of people were thinking, hey, he's pretty conservative, pretty standard guy, right? He's got the high-end car, he's got the low-end car, and now he's making, or sorry, he's got the high-end and the kind of the mid-end, the S, and then now he's going to have the 3, okay? So the Model 3 is going to be the cheap one, right? And so it's going to be easy to understand, just like always. You're going to have cheap, high, and low, and some people are going to buy the different ones, but it ain't like that. It ain't like that. I don't think so. I think the Model 3 is going to be almost all the models, like an iPhone. How many iPhones do you want? You might want a bigger screen or a smaller screen, and that's basically it. The rest is all software, right? And Elon has understood that, and Tesla engineering team has understood that at a level that nobody else understands. And real software people are really excited about the Model 3 because they understand. It's like, finally, cars are getting it. Cars are getting it. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Now, it turns out it's probably one of the best looking cars on the market. It's an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous piece of work. I mean, that thing is, I think it's so beautiful myself. I really do. And I don't mean that like a fanboy. I mean, I like design, and that thing is badass. And you know, interesting, just kind of a side point, is I went to a boxing match, a Thai boxing match the other day. It was like a world champion for Muay Thai kickboxing. And you know, they had these, you know, they had the girls, right? They got the girls that, the dancing, the other girls that go out on the boxing ring. And then they also had the hot cars, right? So you got your hot girls, hot cars, right? Which you always have in a fight, right? And in the old days, I would be so excited about those hot cars, man. I'd be over there taking pictures, and I'd be like excited, like looking at them. You even had like Ferraris and Lamborghinis and all this kind of stuff. But guess what? I didn't even look at them. I walked over to them, and they felt so boring to me because the world's changed since the Model 3 came out. Seriously, the world's different since Tesla came out. It's no longer is that it's exciting to look at these cars. In fact, they don't even excite me. I don't even want them. I don't want some smelly gas car, you know? I don't want some unreliable thing that's based on a fuel that's gonna be run out and it's being replaced, and you know, it's like, I don't know, man. I mean, honestly, I can tell you what I think, but I want you to do this. I want you to go out in your life today, right? And in your life the next couple weeks, and look around the world and see, once you look at the Model 3 and start understanding what's going on here, if you don't see the world completely different now that the Model 3 is out, because I think you'll find that you can't get excited about the design of cars anymore or the horsepower, because it ain't about that. It's about the huge disruption in transportation and ownership and freedom and that we're going to have, and the total transformation of our lives, our cities, and our need to own things. We're seeing like this is an epic battle, you guys. This is an epic battle. Really. This is really an epic battle. And it's pitting the big boys against not so big boys, right? We're having like Tesla versus like the Middle East versus, I mean, cities, the infrastructure of cities. So many things. I'll talk about it in my other videos. But the Model 3 was a genius launch. And here's the thing, is like, you think you're looking at the Model 3, right? You ain't looking at it, because the software is inside. And Elon, old Elon, he really threw a loop at us, because he said today, he said, you know, the driving steering wheel, somebody complained it wasn't too good looking, and they thought, oh, you know, this is where they skimped, was on the steering wheel, and blah, 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 right? And then Elon said, that's not going to be the steering wheel. It's going to be something called, something like spaceship steering. He said, don't worry, you know, you'll see it soon, right? So he's got things that he wasn't even showing you. So I mean, the Mercedes people and the Toyota people are really in a bad position, because they've been upended. They've been upended by consumer choice. They didn't really realize that consumers wanted electrics. Really, they didn't know. I'm serious. Until this week, they didn't know. And I'm telling you, you didn't know. Nobody knew. I knew that electrics were super cool, and I've been into them, but I didn't know that you were gonna buy them and consumers were just gonna line up. The launch of the Model 3 was the greatest launch of any product in history, including the iPhone and every product that was ever launched, okay? Now, of course, there's different ways to measure it, but it was definitely one of them, okay? Tesla calls it number one. If it wasn't number one, you put in the comments what you think was the biggest launch in history. I think it was the Model 3 personally, and I'm open. I'm not here to tell you the way it is. I'm open to that, but it was a launch of epic proportions. There was over 300,000 orders taken, and we're talking for a car, it's $35,000. We're talking about massive, massive amount of revenue, and it's still growing. I heard it's like, last night I went to sleep, it was like 250. I wake up this morning, it's like 330 or something. I mean, we're the fourth day out now. This should be slowing down. This ain't slowing down. It's actually speeding up. People are getting crazy about it. People are buying the Model 3. And car companies don't know what to do. What do you do? It takes years to design a car. It takes years to design a car and get the car out the door. It does. It's not a fast thing. So car companies, you're gonna see some winners and losers that you've never seen before. You're gonna see, I'm serious, like watch this space. It's gonna be epic. We're gonna see some seriously huge, powerful people blowing up on this one. And we're also gonna see the rise of a lot of things that are gonna make your life better as a consumer, and easier to do things, cheaper to do things, faster to do things, cleaner, better for the environment, lower cost, lower down payments, lower commitments, you know, less contracts, more easier things. Because the Model 3 can be a lot of things. It can be, this is what I'm saying about software. The Model 3 can be a sports car, right? It can be a super fast car. Trust me, they're gonna have fast ones. That's what Elon's already talking about. It looks the same, but it's gonna be a lot faster, okay? Already we have ludicrous mode that if you go to YouTube and watch the races of the ludicrous mode model, what is that? Is it the S? No, it's either way. It's the ludicrous mode racing the other cars. You see race cars losing to the ludicrous mode. Race cars are losing to an electric car. Really, process that for a second. Think about it. Italian $100,000 million cars are losing races with professional drivers to Joe Schmo, Joe Six-Pack, the average guy sitting there pressing his foot down on the electric gas. You can say it's boring, but it ain't gonna, it's changing. It's gonna cut a knife through the industry, and you're gonna see like changes like you've never, ever seen. So I love your comments. I love the emails you guys are sending me because you're teaching me so much. I really, really appreciate it. I mean, so much. Thank you guys. And please keep watching. Any comments you have, leave them below in the chat box or send them to me at paul@paulsalo.com, PAULSALO. And I'm just going to tag this on the end here. I'm starting a members area, which is basically like a business mastermind, where it's going to be, I have a lot of friends and people who are already in our group, and we basically talk about things, what's going on, what's happening, what businesses. A lot of it is business people wanting to start internet businesses, but there's all kinds of people in there. A lot of people just want to know what's going on and they want to be part of our discussions. So we have weekly webinars, we have discussions. You can really get in deep. This is not like some recorded product. We do record everything, we put it online, but we actually, it's interactive. So we have smart people answering questions, so you can actually take an idea from your head, put it out there, have people react to it, and work on it, and sharpen the saw, and hand it back to you, and do whatever you want with it, right? So we have a lot of entrepreneurs. Most people have traveled a lot. I personally have been to a lot of countries, probably 60, 65 countries. I've been all over the world. I started businesses a lot of places. So, and a lot of my friends are way, way more important than me. I've got friends that are on this thing that are super smart, okay? These guys are wise and smart, and they're like me, they enjoy talking and they enjoy learning. So they help each other and they help themselves in keeping on track on things that they're not that up with. So that, nobody's up on everything, right? So it's $29 a month. It's at paulsalo.com if you're interested. No big sales pitch, but either way, thanks for watching. And I tell you, and thanks for being with me on this epic journey, and thanks for sharing. Yeah. Have a good one.